used to be 47 kgs.
I used to be 45 kgs. I used to be 45 kgs, and the time I hit 55, I had arrived.
Imagine being 45, 47, and when you get to 49, you celebrate.
I know. I've had that challenge of being very tiny. All my life, I was very tiny. And they used to call me toothpick. Wow. Very tiny. No matter what I ate, I never used to grow fat. And I always looked for the fat part of everything, all the foods.
Wow. So for me, that was exciting for a bit. I was like, yay, finally I'm 60 kgs. I was like, I had never been to 60. So it excited me in a way. But what annoyed me most, every time I stood in front of a mirror in the morning, I would see my protruding stomach.
Yeah.
And then there's that linea nigra.
I think you've heard my story of the stomach. I keep on telling, don't.
The linea nigra, I don't know if you know that black line that forms on the belly. It was so vivid. So vivid, like clear black line.
So you were practically pregnant physically, but not biologically.
Exactly. So when I saw that black line, I was like, this must be something. If everyone is noticing it, then why am I not noticing it? But prior to that, I'd started getting some backache. I had abdominal pain. I would have hot flashes, like you sweat out of the blue. And then I would have those headaches that never stop. And this was kind of like a reminder, please, you need to pay attention to your body. There must be something wrong. So my fear was that, could it be that I have some mass that is cancerous?
You didn't ever think about doing a pregnancy test?
I did. They all came out negative. I bought strips to check, but all of them were negative. And so I was sure.
And then your stomach kept on growing bigger.
Yes. It kept growing bigger and bigger.
Where was the turning point where you decided, I think now it's time I should go and look for medical help?
That time was when my manager looked at me and told me, Judith, you're not fine. Oh. He looked me straight in the face and told me...
Was it a female or a male?
A male. And he told me, you don't look fine. While everybody is celebrating that you're pregnant, I think there's something more to it.
Okay.
So that's the day I finished work at around 5, and at around 7 p.m., I rushed to a clinic nearby, and I had myself tested, and I did several scans just to find out what the problem is. That was the scariest day of my life. I don't know if that word exists.
Oh dear.
But it was scary. It was scary.
How was the journey from there?
Remember, it was lockdown. There was no transportation. Like, it was hard. But the good thing is that where I was working, they would provide us with transport. So I used that opportunity while going back home, and I went to a nearby clinic that I can easily.
So what came out from the tests, from everything? What did they tell you? What was causing you to bulge up and put on all this weight?
It was fibroids.
Okay.
Fibroids. And the most annoying thing is that the gentleman who did the scan just kept asking me, when are you considering having children? Like, he didn't exactly explain.
Actually, another thing I've heard about, like I don't know if it's a misconception, but people assume that people are getting fibroids because they are delaying to conceive. They are not trying to conceive. They are not attempting to get pregnant. Now, here you are. I think you were staying with your partner by then.
Yes.
And you really wanted to conceive.
Yes.
But then the fibroids were there. And here is a lab technician seeing the fibroids in the scan and is asking you, when do you want to get pregnant? So how did you
It was very confusing. It was very confusing. So I kept wondering, I was like, I had heard about fibroids, but I didn't know in detail what fibroids were. There are these people who sing on the streets, the herbal people who say that Bizimba Mnabana in the local language, Luganda. And I had a vague idea of what that could be. So I knew it is something in my uterus, but I didn't know what.
So what was next after you found that maybe they told you have fibroids? What did you do next? Take us through that journey to the solutions that you went through the whole process.
Okay, they gave me painkillers to manage the pain because it was really a lot of pain. And I reached home and used Google as usual.
Everyone's doctor.
Yes. When the doctors tell you about something and you don't get it, sometimes they use the scientific terms and you don't understand them.
Yes.
I went to Google, I asked questions, I watched YouTube videos about fibroids, and instead of getting comfort, I got even more scared. Because I was only seeing the extreme of people who had fibroids.
So did you get any assistance? Did you talk to anyone? Did you see any doctor? Like after collecting all this information, what did you use that information for? Did you go to a hospital? Did you talk to someone? What did you do?
I called up my sister and I was crying. I told her what had happened and she also had an idea of what it was. So she told me most times these tests might be wrong. You know, sometimes they are misdiagnoses. Let's try another hospital somewhere and see if they give us the same results. So we tried another hospital and tried another and another. And all of them were giving us the same results.
Same results.
Even worse.
What?
Yes. Because the first time they told me I had multiple fibroids, they reported about 5 masses. You know, by the time they removed them, they told me they were this big, like a fist. So imagine 5 of those in your uterus and around the uterus. I think that's why the body perceived a pregnancy.
When we were having a conversation earlier, you told me about PCOS. So when did you learn about you having PCOS? How did it come in after the multiple fibroids and everything?
The PCOS came in after I had had the first surgery to remove the fibroids. I was actually watching an interview on NBS, and they were interviewing this lady who was sharing her story of infertility. And she said at first it was unexplained infertility until the doctors really did so many tests to find out what's the root cause. And she mentioned PCOS. Now, at the time, I didn't know what PCOS was. But at least the
So
signs
you had already
and
had the
symptoms,
fibroid surgeries?
Yeah, I had already had it successfully.
And then you were still not getting pregnant?
Yes.
Okay.
Even after the fertility treatments, because they would give me shots every cycle just to boost the eggs. But still nothing was happening. So when that happened, I also questioned us. Like, I thought the problem was the fibroids. So if they are gone, then why is it not
Why aren't you
happening?
getting pregnant? Yes.
That's when I came across that interview. And the lady explained exactly what I was going through. The irregular periods, the hot flashes, the bloating, your legs can even fill up at some point as if you're diabetic. Like, you know, when you press your skin like this and
you get a dimple.
Yes. And then it comes out slowly.
Yes.
So all these were signs and symptoms of what was happening to me. And then the hair on my breast, that one I didn't really think it was a problem until we had the tests done. Yeah. And
that's body hair, like excessive hair on
like
your
for
body.
women,
Yes.
when you have hair around the chin and then on your chest, just on the tip of your breast, sometimes it's even on your back. That's not normal. That's not normal. And usually those are telltale signs of PCOS. Okay. Then also when you have acne, these pimples that are so big and uncontrollable, even when you go to skincare, it's still
I also had
problem.
Acne, a lot of acne.
Yes, yes.
I'm an acne survivor.
We thank God, we thank God, we thank God. So that was how I got to know that I had PCOS. So I knew it, I just went to confirm in the hospital. And when we ran the tests, it was it. That was it.
When you received the diagnosis for the multiple fibroids and later PCOS, it must have been overwhelming. What emotions did you go through and how did you master the courage to keep fighting?
I should say that it was hard. It was depressing. And many times I would be by myself. It didn't make it easier that I was an introvert. It was terrible. It was terrible. Yeah. I felt like even when I talked to my friends, they didn't understand me.
They can't understand.
Even when I went to church, I didn't feel that comfort
Like they
that I was
were
looking
feeling your
for.
pain. Yes.
I struggled to
You were
look
not
for